Good morning. Happy Friday. Today is Friday, April 26th, and I am your morning witch. And on Wednesday, Witchy Wordy Wednesday, we talked about foraging and wildcrafting and harvesting, and I thought, there's a lot of safety that goes into that. And some people, they want to jump into things, and we should talk about safety because Friday is for the weavers, and don't you want your thread to go far through the tapestry as opposed to be a brief streak of color? Rule number one for wildcrafting or foraging in the wild is to have good guides. Something like, the National Audubon Society Field Guide to Mushrooms tells you a lot and gives picture references so you can see, especially with something like mushrooms where there are a lot of poisonous lookalikes. Having good pictures that aren't just hand-drawn is very important. But not just with mushrooms, there are a lot of plants that can have poisonous lookalikes. Like this book talks about how Angelica has a poisonous lookalike of poison hemlock and how to identify between the two. And beyond just these books, there's other books that can help you identify different plants. Like I've got one about trees, one about different nuts, one about different birds, which I'm not going to be foraging for birds, but you get what I'm saying. But in addition to knowing what you're looking for, you need to know where to look for them. It's not safe to forage herbs or mushrooms or things that you're going to ingest from like an area that might have toxic metals in the ground because of maybe a factory that used to be in that place. It's not safe to forage or wildcraft things that are growing along the sides of the highway because there's so much that is toxic or contamination of the soil from vehicle fluids at the ends of the roadways. It's not safe to eat things from there. And when I say eat, I guess I should have said ingest, because making a tea out of it or putting it on your skin could get you those toxins in your system just the same. You also need to know what parts of the plant are good for medicinal use, because some plants have parts that are okay for use and parts that are really not okay for use. And, going into it willy-nilly, we could hurt ourselves. So we really need to educate ourselves, which is why we're in the library for today's video. Because whether you have an at-home library or you go to your local library, which is really, really good for your community, so you should totally go to your local library. But either way, whether you own the books or you need to rent the books, educate yourself on what it is you want, what it is you're looking for, what's available in your area, what's an invasive species, because it's much better to wildcraft something that's invasive versus the native species, because invasive species are taking over the spots of native. So if you are going to wildcraft an invasive species, it actually helps your native species. There's a whole lot that goes into it, so I'm not going to cover everything in one video, but I do want everyone to be conscientious of certain factors that are obviously at the forefront of my mind, because that's what I typically spoke about. And then you can educate yourself outside of that, because there's a lot more than just this little bit that goes into foraging and wildcrafting safely. Excuse me. Have a happy Friday. I'm gonna go clear my throat some more.